Welcome to the 8th module of our Family Caregiving 101 series. My name is Mark Peterson, founder of the Wyoming Family Caregiving Foundation. Last session, we focused on heavy lifting or surmounting difficult challenges in family caregiving. In this session, we will focus on the end, but the beginning in family caregiving. All of us will die. We will focus on the final stage of life for those who have battled a serious chronic illness. While your effort as a family caregiver will increase during this time, it is likely because of communicating with family members, coordinating visits by them and by friends, writing an obituary, deciding about organ donation, and making arrangements with directors of cemeteries and funeral homes. My late wife Cindy was bedbound during this time, so the need to make effortful transitions into wheelchairs, chairs, and the bed all but went away. She wasn't eating or drinking much, so those tasks dropped precipitously. She was also sleeping most of the day. In reviewing a cancer battle, such as the one my late wife waged for 2 years, one can see how the home still featured prominently as the main cancer battleground into May and June of 2021. There was work to be done, but it shifted from healthcare tasks for Cindy to making preparations for what would come after Cindy left us. Having a signed advance medical directive stating, quote, "do not resuscitate," unquote, is important, because without this, fire and rescue would have to perform CPR on one who dies. The body would have to go to the county morgue. Requests would have to be made for allowing the funeral home to pick up the body from the morgue. So having an advance medical directive allows the funeral home to come to your home and take the body to the funeral home. 23 months into Cindy's cancer battle, and after 3 hospitalizations in the last 3 months, the hospital social worker let me know that I was focusing too much on keeping Cindy alive and not coming to terms with her departure. I thought to myself, okay, I will show you. I will get going. I scheduled a trip to Green Hill Cemetery in Laramie and selected a burial plot from which one can see the Fine Arts Building at the University of Wyoming, where Cindy held many piano education events as a piano teacher. I also met with the Montgomery Stryker Funeral Home here in Laramie and decided on cremation for Cindy, which costs hundreds of dollars, rather than the thousands required for embalming and a handsome casket. There are stories of patients in hospice being discharged for upturns in their conditions, some even returning to full health. Because of Cindy's cognitive decline, I did not tell her about hospice other than saying that a new nurse would be coming every day now. While my rational thinking knew what was coming in days or weeks, as the medical professionals would say, a few months before this they would say weeks or months when I asked them privately about Cindy's prospects. I'd never been with anyone with weeks or months to live, so there was uncertainty for me about how things would play out. Hospice care is specialized support for individuals with a terminal illness, typically with a prognosis of 6 months or less, focusing on comfort and quality of life rather than cure. It provides medical care to manage pain and symptoms, along with emotional, spiritual, and practical support for both patients and families. Services may include nurses, doctors, social workers, chaplains, and volunteers, as well as necessary medications and equipment. Care can be delivered at home, in hospice facilities, hospitals, or nursing homes. Where I live in Laramie, Wyoming, there is Hospice of Laramie, a nonprofit set up to assist those with terminal illnesses depart this life well. There is a facility with rooms for patients, and there is a playroom for kids who might be visiting there too. Hospice of Laramie believes their best work is done at this facility. However, Hospice of Laramie provides in-home services for patients who prefer to die at home. The goal is to help patients live as fully and comfortably as possible during the remaining time, while supporting loved ones through the journey. Once Cindy was enrolled in hospice, her oncologist dropped all remaining appointments with her, so it was like entering another system of care. There is a different logic in hospice, and that is for the patient to end their lives well, rather than continue their lives. It turns out that a patient's body that is shutting down doesn't need the food and water it once did. When we stopped pushing food and water to Cindy, she died less than 2 days later. Gula was the hospice nurse who worked with my late wife Cindy. She was very effective in her role, and we were thankful to have her visit once a day for about 30 minutes. The process begins with an assessment and care plan, followed by regular visits, 24/7 support, and ongoing adjustments as needs change. Families receive training, respite care, and bereavement counseling. In the U.S., Medicare, Medicaid, and most private insurance plans cover hospice-related costs. Cindy received about 2 weeks of hospice services. Later, I paid Hospice of Laramie about $3,600 for this. A couple of months later, I received a check from my health insurance company, Cigna, for the same amount, reimbursing me. We did not know when Cindy would not be able to carry on anymore. I thought she had months. However, here's what I wrote on CaringBridge about 2 weeks before Cindy died. Gears are shifting in the lives of Cindy's caregivers. We are now working for a beautiful departure for Cindy. There is less physical work, but more emotional work. One would think I am fighting allergies at times during the day, but they are just runs of emotion being expressed with teary eyes. Rachel, too. I'm glad not to be on this road alone. Although Cindy is sleeping all the time, there are occasional illuminations. Yesterday afternoon, I came into her room and unexpectedly she had her eyes open with her head turned toward the door. "Look who's looking at me," I exclaimed rhetorically in a joking way. After a pause, surprisingly, Cindy responded at just above a whisper, "Because you're so good looking." Yes, our girl is still with us. I really like this photo. I took it the day before Cindy departed this life. It shows our friend Tracy Heiser bringing the magic for Cindy. Tracy had just finished reading the Bible to Cindy. So much compassion is evident in this photo. I wrote the following on CaringBridge, June 3rd, 2021. God answered your prayers for Cindy to have a beautiful departure today. I returned from a short walk with our golden doodle Bingley at 9 a.m., checked on Cindy, and she looked flushed in the face as she does in the morning after a night under the covers. But something was different. There was no sound of breathing. She appeared peaceful and still. She had departed. 2 nurses from Hospice of Laramie came along with Una from home instead. They bathed Cindy in bed and tucked her into bed again. They told us to call the funeral home when we were ready to have her taken there. Rachel, James, Angela, and I went in and surrounded Cindy's bed. Tears flowed. I knelt by Cindy and recited the 23rd Psalm aloud. Angela, by my side, joined in. Those words were never more meaningful than then. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. After a few minutes, I had about 15 minutes by Cindy's side with my head on her folded hands. As I cried, scenes from our lives together flashed before me effortlessly. I could recall the times and places of our romance walking by rivers at night in Heidelberg, Würzburg, and Paris. I remembered the turns in the road for us as a married couple these past 36 years and how Cindy readily made lemonade when given lemons. I was overwhelmed with gratitude. Before leaving the room with Cindy, I had the feeling that her departure was a punctuation mark rather than a final ending, meaning there was more work for me to do in the coming months and years. Our pastor, Jason Ricks, and his wife, Heather, were there in our front room when I emerged. Thomas and Eve Newman from Emmaus Road Church spent time with us, too. It felt good to be with them. 2 workers from Montgomery Stryker Funeral Home secured Cindy and put her on a gurney. They asked me, "Bag open or closed when leaving?" I told them closed. I walked behind them as they wheeled her out to the vehicle. I put my arms around daughters Rachel and Angela as she was loaded into the vehicle. We were in the street then. Honestly, I felt a bit woozy and was glad to be supported by my girls. And then she was gone. The day was a cloudless one and brilliantly sunny. Angela and her baby Ethan, as well as Rachel and her husband James and I, went for a walk that afternoon in our neighborhood. We wound up at a local cafe where we enjoyed iced coffee. In military and business operations, when the mission changes, so do activities. Later in the day, Cindy died. Our family switched from bringing in supplies and equipment into the home continuously to gathering up and giving away the same supplies and equipment we had gathered. These supplies and equipment could be better used by others now. The Peterson home would now go back to what it was prior to launching our family caregiving enterprise. After Cindy's death, I received more than 6 books on grieving. I read them all. What I learned was that in our culture, everyone grieves in their own way and in their own time. My sister Margaret Ann Martin from Atlanta, Georgia, came to visit the day after Cindy died. So did my brother from Atlanta, Tim. Each stayed for about a week. I appreciated their presence then and remember telling them, "I've never experienced a wife dying, so I don't know if I will go to a dark place." As it turns out, I never went to a dark place, although over the coming weeks, I had many spasms of tears that would last for about 10 seconds and then pass. I asked my sister, "How should I do this grieving?" She replied, "Lean into it, but don't let it become your identity, the grieving widower." I grasped what she was imparting. Don't stuff down feelings or avoid important tasks in grieving. Do it now, not later, so that you can move on. Cindy's mother had died in January, and her sisters had graciously set up a family gathering in Wyoming July 9th to spread Marge's ashes in the snowy mountain range of Wyoming. To make travel easier for Cindy's family members in California and Georgia, I set the date for Cindy's memorial service to be July 8th. This gave me about 5 weeks between Cindy's passing and her memorial service. Cindy's family has a tradition of producing a photo montage made from photos from across the life of a departed loved one that will be presented at that person's memorial service with accompanying music. No one was volunteering to do this for Cindy, so I decided to give it a try. After days and days of taking photos of printed photos and uploading these digital photos to the cloud, I played around with a video editing program called Ice Cream and began making such photo montages. After I would finish a video, I would reflect and see that I had more photos than had not been used. Other videos emerged. At Cindy's memorial service 5 weeks later, we showed 6 videos. These are now on a website built by my oldest daughter, Emily, cindypeterson.us. In retrospect, producing these videos became art therapy for me in my grieving. I had to select, then edit stories representing Cindy in important aspects of her life, such as lessons she learned in life and wanted her grandchildren to know. There were tears each hour of producing these videos. I devoted hundreds of hours to this work, so I cried my share of healthy tears for Cindy each hour. Developing the video content made me appreciate Cindy in new ways. For example, I realized she was quite a linguist. I already knew she spoke German well and French, too, but music was another language she knew, and she shared it with the world. A funeral home, such as Laramie's Montgomery Strikers, will assist you in making decisions about cremation or casket burial. They will help in selecting the type of monument that will mark the grave of your departed loved one. They will help obtain a death certificate for you, too. These days, an electronic version of the death certificate will be accepted at banks and other institutions where accounts need to be closed or put into someone else's name, like yours. Make sure to obtain 5 copies of the death certificate for those institutions that want to see the hard copy of the death certificate. The funeral home will host and stage the entire memorial service for you, but this will mean fees for these additional services. I chose to be the producer of Cindy's memorial service, to celebrate Cindy's life our own way, and to thank those who helped so valuably during her 2-year cancer battle. I wanted the best facility in our small town, the University of Wyoming Gateway Center, to be the venue for the event. I hired 2 of the best musicians in the state who knew Cindy, Lisa Rickard and her daughter Allison Curley. I planned the order of service, made the program, had it printed, produced videos with music, and scheduled food for the reception afterwards. The staff members of the funeral home attended and merely served as ushers at the funeral service. We interred Cindy's ashes during the Cowgirl Up walk that occurred before the memorial service. I put the urn with her ashes into the ground myself when it came time to do so. I did this to help my own grieving and obtain more closure. For those who battled a serious chronic illness, an important part of their story is how they battled and who helped them. There are many to thank. My words at Cindy's memorial service were words of thanks for Cindy and those who helped her, such as these. We did not walk alone during the 2 years of Cindy's cancer battle. As seen in the last part of the video that just played, the heavens are declaring God's hand is all around us. During Cindy's cancer battle, we were surrounded by love. In their song, Cindy and Masterpiece sang, "Listen, can't you hear?" Yes, I hear. Love came to us in the form of cards and notes, meals from those who were part of the meal train, homemade ice cream, phone calls, home visits, flowers, an Easter parade by Cindy's tennis friends, Caring Birds cheers, Red Hat salutes, just to name a few of the ways we were reminded that we were not walking alone and that we were loved. My words of thanks continued. Cowgirl Up means stepping up to meet a challenge. I'm thankful for the Cowgirl Up attitude of daughter Rachel and her husband James Musselman. These 2 left jobs in Colorado Springs in January to return to Laramie for the purpose of serving Cindy, who had then become paralyzed on her left side. Together, the 3 of us learned day by day watching Cindy's in-home healthcare professionals during their visits in our home. We asked questions and learned. We struggled to see what was coming around the corner, but in short order, we became Cindy's high-performing pit crew. I'm so proud we did. Around Cindy's reclining chair, wheelchair, or bed, we kept up our spirits as well as Cindy's. We kept learning into June of this year. As a team, we functioned without words or worked with merely a look to each other because we could anticipate what needed to be done next. The three of us comprised the best team of which I have ever been a member. Thank you, sweet Rach and James. Memorializing a loved one can take many forms, tailored to personal values and traditions. Here, Cindy's tennis friends remember her as they compete under the name of Cindy's Red Hots. Other personal and creative tributes include memory boxes, scrapbooks, art, music, planting trees or gardens, or keepsakes like jewelry made from handwriting, fingerprints, or ashes. Life Gem is a company that will transform your loved one's ashes into a diamond that can be placed in jewelry. Your funeral director can tell you about Life Gem and other such cremation diamond companies. As previously seen, digital remembrances include creating online memorial pages, maintaining social media accounts as memory spaces, or gifting digital photo frames with curated images. Ceremonial and ritual options include candlelighting on special dates, gatherings for story sharing, or release ceremonies with lanterns, flowers, or balloons, mindful of environmental rules. Each of these approaches offers a way to honor a life, keep memories alive, and create spaces, physical, digital, or symbolic, where grief can transform into ongoing connection and remembrance for friends, family, and future generations. Public or community-based memorials might involve dedicating a bench or plaque, establishing scholarships or charitable funds, hosting annual events, or naming a place in their honor. This memorial bench for Cindy is outside of the University of Wyoming Tennis Center and looks out over a rugby field, which means the wide and high Wyoming sky can be viewed from there. The plaque on the bench features Psalm 19:1. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the works of his hands. Nonprofit events can be used to memorialize your loved one. For example, the American Cancer Society's Relay for Life is a nationwide community fundraising event that supports cancer research, patient services, education, and advocacy. After the first Relay for Life in 1985, there are now thousands of events each year across the United States and many other countries. Relay for Life typically lasts 6 to 24 hours, with teams taking turns walking or running around a track or path. The event symbolizes the ongoing fight against cancer. Someone is always on the track, just as the fight never stops. Key elements include the Survivor's Lap, celebrating cancer survivors, the Luminaria ceremony, honoring and remembering loved ones, and the Fight Back ceremony, pledging continued commitment. Funds raised fuel cancer research and support programs for patients and caregivers. The gravesite of your loved one in a cemetery is another way to memorialize your loved one. I thought about spreading Cindy's ashes on a hill overlooking our town of Laramie, Wyoming. However, the place is so attractive that I knew others would spread the ashes of their loved ones there too. There would be no exclusive place for Cindy if I had done this. Therefore, I visited the sexton of the Green Hill Cemetery in Laramie and bought a regular plot that can hold 2 caskets or 4 urns of ashes. The grave marker is in the form of a worshiper with uplifted arms or maybe an angel, 2 images that align with my memory of Cindy. I ordered the red granite stone special because it comes from Georgia, where we lived together for 9 years and we enjoyed very much. I'm glad this place is not across country, hundreds or thousands of miles away. In the years following Cindy's burial, I go to Green Hill Cemetery a couple of times each week on a jogging route. I stop and pray. For some, a cemetery is a place to avoid, but to me now it is a place to remember how blessed I am to have women in my life such as Cindy and now Laurie. I remember the excellent caregiving our family and our friends did for Cindy and how she helped us become better caregivers. Whenever I come up on a deer near Cindy's place in Green Hill Cemetery, it makes me smile. Clearly, nature regards this place as one of peace and refuge. When I lost Cindy to brain cancer, I wanted deeply to see something good come out of something as bad as this. I think you can understand. Cindy had been a recreational tennis player in Laramie, and her tennis friends helped execute an encouragement event for Cindy October 10, 2020, with the collegiate athletes of the UW women's tennis team just before she lost mobility on her left side. To return thanks to the UW women's tennis team, we have partnered with them in the years since Cindy's death. The coaches Dean Clower and Julie Gonzalez Rodriguez knew Cindy. Together, we celebrate the toughness Cindy showed us during her 2-year cancer battle with what might be the most aggressive and relentless form of cancer, glioblastoma. There's now a Cindy Peterson Cowgirl Up Award given each year to tennis players who show mental toughness that inspires others. Because these athletes have rooms full of trophies and plaques, this award comes in the form of 2 pillows and a quilt to keep these winners warm in the future, an important thing in winter which our athletes learn here in Wyoming. In sum, look for a nonprofit for partnering to memorialize your departed loved one. I commissioned a local artist and friend, Joe Arnold, to do a portrait of Cindy from a photograph taken in 2016 with young boy Banner Watson. This now hangs over the piano in the front room of our home. Banner, the boy in the portrait, died tragically a couple of years after this photo was taken, so the portrait serves as a double memorial for me. Memorialization is the last stage of family caregiving, according to Arthur Kleinman, author of The Soul of Care. You are caring for the memory of your loved one, no longer with you. You are beginning life without them, and memorializing can help you put your loved one and their battle against their serious illness into perspective. You will need to live your life without them. After the Civil War, regiments from Illinois that fought in General Sherman's Army of the West during the Civil War chose to place their monument at Cheatham's Hill on the Kennesaw Mountain battlefield near Marietta, Georgia. Despite fighting in major battles from Vicksburg, Chattanooga, Atlanta, and Sherman's March to the Sea, they selected Cheatham's Hill for their place of remembrance. In the intense fighting of June 27, 1864, the Illinois regiments came close to taking Cheatham's Hill, but the defenders held on. Nevertheless, what the veterans from Illinois wanted to honor was not only their dead comrades during the war, but also the spirit of these Illinois units to take on an impossible mission and do it in a way that showed them at their best as soldiers and teammates to each other. Family caregiving can be a difficult undertaking, and according to Kleinman, can break family members financially, relationally, emotionally, and morally. However, resilient family caregivers find ways to develop and sustain their enterprise to benefit their loved one. Running a family caregiving enterprise allows them to serve one of their own and to be at their best as teammates to each other. By doing this, resilient family caregivers can serve loved ones when these loved ones really need them. As time goes on in family caregiving, the patient winds up being the teacher. The loved one can show the family caregiver how to respond to a life-threatening illness. Cindy did this with calm and poise. A next point attitude our Wyoming women's tennis players regularly display. Family members rallied and taught the family caregivers how to support from afar. Loved ones with serious chronic illnesses can also teach the caregiver about what it is like to near death. Looking back, Cindy did this well despite a host of physical deficits. Medical professionals like Lisa, the oncology PA at Ivinson Hospital in Laramie, photographed with Cindy here, showed how to bring compassion to the practice of medicine in working with Cindy. Friends who worked as nurses where Cindy received treatment showed how to bring the magic before we began doing it after we were told there were no longer any more medical interventions. So memorialization not only leads us to remember our departed loved one, but also those who form the caregiving team during a crucial time in the loved one's life. These include family members, but also friends and those in the healthcare ecosystem who helped the loved one and boosted the efforts to launch and to sustain the family's caregiving enterprise. Memorialization also calls us to remember the fighting spirit of the team composed of your loved one and caregivers over the term of the loved one's battle with a serious chronic illness. Kleinman writes about caregiving. Inconvenient, often something we would rather not do, at times truly unpleasant, sometimes taking more than it gives, something that can break us. It is also among the most important things we can do. It starts out about others, but in the end it is about us. By giving care, we recognize that we too need to be cared for. In sum, Kleinman is saying that we have a precariousness in our lives that is made more livable by our commitment to one another. Such commitment becomes evident in strong family caregiving. Through family caregiving, we are paying it forward as in a gift economy. It could be charity we give to another person, or it could be that it ripples far beyond that one person. One day, those who have learned it and done it with us will be able to serve effective as caregivers in the future. but also perhaps to us too. In this way, our family caregiving enterprise will again nurture the care of others in the future. Thank you for viewing this video and the others in the Family Caregiving 101 series. This video and other resources to help you learn how to be a resilient family caregiver can be found at wildfamilycaregiving.com. That's www.wildfamilycaregiving.com. Be strong.